Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Construction Leadership Game Show, where we bring leaders from across the construction industry to share insights and entertaining anecdotes to earn points in a completely randomized fashion from me when I feel fit. Thanks for being here.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
All right.
How did we get here?
We're gonna, quiet. No points. Actually, I'll give you a point. We don't know how to delete points yet. We can only add points, but we'll solve that. Kevin Carey, CEO of Mountain Movers Facades. Tell us how you and your organization deliver value to the industry.
Great question. It's through what we call our PVC, so our purpose, our vision, and our core values. And that is everything to us. Our core values are those tangibles that we can measure each day that feed our purpose and vision. We're a glass company, that's the widget, but why we do what we do is far more important.
Love it. To be sure, glass and PVC are different substrates.
I know. Yeah, I didn't want to come up with a glass acronym. Points deducted. This is around the horn from ESPN. You know, I'm getting my points off.
Meloni Raney, President and CEO of TEXO. Tell us how you and your organization deliver value to the industry.
TEXO serves the Commercial Construction Association here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and we firmly believe that a rising tide raises all boats. So if the people in construction get better, our industry gets better. So we serve the people within construction through leadership training, advocacy, safety training.
Colby Chandler, Sales Manager at Cassity Jones. How do you guys deliver value to the industry?
Yeah, so Cassity Jones provides value by focusing on professional home builders. We partner with them to try to make their building process as smooth as possible, try to stay ahead on current trends and keep them informed on what's coming up for the future.
All right, Kevin, we're going to start with you. What is your favorite leadership movie of all time? Why? And prepare to defend it.
Oh, okay, here we go. And you're gonna have to stick with me here. I'm going with Tommy Boy.
Oh.
That's what I was hoping for that. Wait a minute now. Hold up. I already get my deducts? All right, so watched it hundreds of times with my dad back in the day. But I think that movie was ahead of its time, because when you think about it, Tommy Boy's thrust into the brake pad industry because his father dies. He wanted nothing to do with it. He was a knucklehead. He gets into this business. Everyone wrote him off because he didn't have experience with the widget. But what he did have was effort, heart, tenacity. He cared about the people. He empowered people that were the professionals to go do what they did best. And he rolled with a lot of adversity. And then they came out on top against Zelensky. So like when you really look at it, it's ahead of its time, especially in construction leadership movie. Give me my points back.
Colby Chandler, you're aware of my adoration and love of Tommy Boy.
I instantly want to change my answer.
You have no chance of winning. I don't know how many points I've given him. Just tack him up for like 12. That's fine. Phenomenal. Love the answer. Couldn't agree more. I could totally derail this entire game show, rambling on about my love of Tommy Boy.
It's the best.
Yes. Meloni, you're going to struggle coming out of here. I hope you got something great. What is your favorite leadership movie and why?
So I kind of disregarded your question, and I went with Ted Lasso.
Not a movie.
Not a movie, show. I don't really like rules, so I just broke one.
Fair enough.
So, but the way he coaches, he gets to know the team before he tries to make too many changes. He gets to know the people, what they're going through. He subtly asks a lot of questions that make them come to their own conclusion. I think the way he rallies around the team and pulls them all together, mucho kudos to Ted Lasso.
Muchos kudos. Adding a little Spanish to the mix.
I did that for you.
Buttering up the host.
To me,
Come
on. Sure. As we think about Ted Lasso, how do you think about your leadership style? On one end, he's super nice, right? Like Texas nice. You ever hear this, Kevin? We're from Chicago.
Yeah.
I thought Midwesterners were nice. I was in the Midwest. I was in Chicago. Then I come here to Texas, not nice. And they're like, no, we call you guys Yankee rude. Like, I was like, what? So nice down here. As you think of like your leadership style, is there a risk of being too nice?
I feel like it's judgment that I got this question. I'm just kidding. Yes, I do think there's a risk of that but I think that you oftentimes have to have hard conversations. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes maybe if you're too nice, it makes it really hard to have those hard conversations. But I love people. And so Oh, I feel like, okay.
Those were positive
Those
points.
were positive, okay.
There's only positive points. I can't deduct.
Well,
You
this
were
whole
telling
time
me
we've
to
been
stop
thinking
hitting
he's
the
been
buzzer and I was
deducting.
giving you points for
Oh.
Tommy Boy. These
That
are all
makes sense.
positive.
Well, you're a mean Chicagoan, so.
Yeah. So I do think you can maybe be a little too nice, but as long as it's genuine, I think that's all that matters.
Authenticity. I like that.
Yes.
Well said. Colby Chandler.
I'm so disappointed in my answer already. I've been trying to find a different movie this whole time.
If it's Remember the Titans, I'm just going to skip it. So I'm just going to say that.
It's not Remember the Titans.
All right. What do you got? Favorite movie and why?
All right. It's not my favorite movie. That's
Favorite
not even the
leadership
question.
movie. The question I emailed you was
All
your
right,
favorite
all right.
leadership movie. That's
All right.
literally what it said.
So this is recency bias, all right? But recently I watched Draft Day. And so I went with Draft Day because it is pretty intense on
Okay.
the leadership. Costner, solid in Draft Day. So he gets a lot of pressure from above and below, which I do think is an important thing as a leader. You're going to feel it from pressure from people you have to answer to, and maybe even more important, the people that you're really working for is the people that work for you. And I think he does a really good job of listening to the feedback given. He makes a lot of mistakes, and then he has to go back and fix those, so it's pretty chaotic. But I think because of that, it's very relatable. So I went with Draft Day, and you've given me no points. I mean, everybody else, they're talking, and you're doing the button, and me, you're like,
He was so captivated by what you were
Yeah,
saying.
no, that wasn't it.
Maybe this follow-up question will explain some of the lack of points you were given. Is the issue that when I say what's your favorite leadership, whatever, fill in the blank, you come back to the Cleveland Browns, the worst team in the history of known football, the kind you kick or throw otherwise. Is that an issue for you?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the Browns, okay? It's fictional.
Fair enough.
It's a fictional movie.
Serious question here. As you think about being a general manager, their job, Kevin Costner, Browns, otherwise, is to attract, recruit, train, and retain talent. How do you think about that in your role with Cassity Jones?
So what we try to do is we really want to build a strong team. I'm super competitive, as you know, so we really, thank you. We really try to push each other. I mean, sales is very competitive, so we're always, trying to do more, grow our business. We have a sales leaderboard where we track results and we publish that to the whole team, so it kind of shows you exactly where you stand. And I do think that helps people because you want people that want to win. So it really pushes people to just try to keep climbing that ladder.
Kevin, as you were launching a new company, is there a risk of making things too competitive? Is there a way to go too far to the right by trying to score everything and have a public scoreboard for everybody?
Yes, absolutely. When you focus on the mission, the purpose, the vision, the core values, the rest will fall into place. And I've learned some hard lessons in trying to scale too quickly and go get what's ours. We have to beat them, maybe drop my margin just to win, and then pay for that over the next 24 months. That's not a way to win. Go after relationships that they care about similar values than you, protect your number, protect your people from people that don't care about people, and just stay true to who you are. And slow growth is a win, simplicity wins, just slow growth. It's okay to lose. It's okay not to focus on your competition, just focus on the goal.
Love it. All right, next question. Meloni, we're gonna start with you here. If you could have any superpower to improve your leadership capabilities, what would you choose and why?
Okay, so I don't want to know everything that people are thinking. I think that would be a little scary. But I do think it would be great to be able to understand what people are going through, both personally and professionally, like what's happening in their life, just to help give empathy for situations in life. Life is crazy right now. Everybody's running at a really fast pace. And so I think being able to empathize with people and understand situations so that we can better take care of the people in our industry.
So if there was some sort of superpower executive summary about the situation that they're currently dealing with, and you can get that in a distilled format, but not so much that you'd realize how crazy and irrational most people are inside their own head?
Yes, perfect. Yeah. If I could figure out how to say that in Spanish, I would have.
I would. I don't have time for that. But no, point. Spanish.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Colby, coming to you. Superpower. Any superpower you could have to improve your leadership capabilities, what would it be and why?
I'm going to go time travel. So that's a superpower.
All right.
Yeah. I have backups for every answer because I'm convinced that you're going to be like, doesn't count. come up with another one.
It's like you know him or something.
Point for Kevin, point for Meloni. Carry on.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go time travel because I think a lot of times as a leader you're trying to look into the future, always be thinking about what's coming around the next bend and leading your team in the right direction. So I think obviously being able to travel there and see what's coming next would make you make better decisions. Also wouldn't mind being able to go back in time and changing a few decisions as well.
So that was my follow-up question. Can you go back in time and meddle with it and then screw up the future? Is that part of it?
Have you seen Butterfly Effect? It's dangerous
Ashton
to do
Kutcher?
that. Yep, very dangerous.
Ashton Kutcher.
Seizures, nosebleeds.
Point for Meloni. Point for Kevin. Carry on.
Crushing.
You bring Ashton Kutcher on the game show, you're
I asked
losing
if you'd
points.
seen Butterfly Effect. You knew who it was immediately, which means you're a super fan.
What's so funny though is when he talks, we get points.
Yeah, this is great.
that
I'm
works.
done talking.
Just keep talking.
I know.
Colby, serious question here. Is there a risk of knowing too much about what happened in the past? Is there a risk of, especially say there's someone on the Cassity Jones team that you've worked with for a while, is it possible that sometimes that past can represent baggage on who they are today, knowing that people are constantly changing and improving or faced with different challenges in their lives?
Yeah, I mean, there's something called the curse of knowledge, which I think is very real. That's where, you have your own ideas in your head that nobody else really understands where they're coming from, which, like you said, could be something from the past that's not relevant anymore. So I think it's important to take all those things into account. But yes, I think you can weight things too heavily based on previous things.
Kevin, we're going to jump to you, but as a follow-up to that, there's a friend of the show, a guy named Jim Sobek, who he constantly preaches that human beings, once they're over the age of 30, can only change maybe 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
If you're trying to change them more than that, it's going to be annoying to them and useless for you. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with it? How do you think about that?
If you can unlock people's potential, they may change radically because they might not understand what their potential fully is, and that's where that can grow out of that 3%. But yeah, if you're trying to get somebody to go from yellow notepad on a to-do list to an iPad, and they're in their upper 50s, early 60s, go fight another battle. But if it's about believing in something bigger than themselves, believing on a shared purpose, achieving goals that align with who they're trying to be, absolutely, they can do it.
Melanie, was that an ageist comment about?
No.
It's not. All right, Colby, point.
Thank you.
That was a trick question. You're
C.
wrong. Okay.
See?
Kevin Carey,
Yes.
superpower.
No point.
To improve your leadership, capabilities. What would it be and why?
I just want to fly away anytime things get difficult. No, I'm just kidding. Mine's
the essence of leadership.
Yeah, right,
Don't
just-
be there when hits the fan.
I'm out.
Kevin just blew through the roof. Things got tense.
Where'd he go?
He's out.
Where did Kevin go?
Yeah, no. I actually had Meloni's with what are people thinking, but from a different angle of leadership is a lonely place. And there are a lot of times that people say sometimes what I want to hear and not what I need to hear. And if I could find out what do we actually need to do to get the job done? How are we aligning with our core values and our purpose and our vision? Are these undercurrents real? All this sort of stuff. It would be so awesome for people to feel more comfortable despite the positive culture and the welcomingness and all that. There's just things that we have a curtain over our eyes that we don't understand is happening. And if I could just figure that out and be in your head a little bit of you could call BS if BS needs to be called. Don't just agree with me. And give me your true, authentic self, the same you're going to give the people at the water cooler. Who are you? And I think that could be a superpower to just help cut through things and unlock people's potential.
Melanie, how do you deal with this? You are tall. You are a powerful woman in our industry. You walk in, you are immediately noticed, especially in a male-dominated industry. What advice do you have, or what have you learned about, on one hand, representing yourself as a leader, as an expert, but also making sure that what people are talking about at lower levels, whether they're members or whether the people of your staff, feel comfortable at getting that raw, unvarnished truth?
I think it goes back to something earlier about being genuine. I am a firm believer in being genuine in every single interaction that you have. It's funny you bring up my height because that was actually something early on in my career that I was a little bit insecure about, because if I wear heels, I'm 6'2" or 3 maybe. And so you can tower over people, and that is intimidating. And so I think everybody has to figure out what defines them. What are your personal core values? And you have to stay true to those. And so for me, something that's really important is being genuine in every single conversation. And that eventually creates the environment to where I do think people can come talk to you about hard things or give you feedback that you necessarily don't want to hear, but you need to hear. And again, if it's coming from a heart to make you better and a heart of love for you, then I think people are more receptive to it. So I feel like what I've been trying to do is just make sure that I always stay true to who I am and my internal core values. And I wear tall heels, and so just own it.
You wear heels. As does Colby. Good segue. Colby, next question. Which tool found, I was going to say modern construction job site. I don't know if you have something of an ancient construction job site. I'm fine with that. Take it any way you want it. What tool found on a construction job site best epitomizes your leadership? I will give you an example. Jeez. As an example, the tool that best represents me, Colby, is obviously the GripRite GRT SM 2016C medium crown construction stapler. You want to know why?
It's red.
Oh.
Well played.
Thank you. Why did they get equal points?
Because I was thinking it, Colby.
What you said was that.
Because I think one of the things that gives me joy and I can bring value to is building strong teams. And sometimes that means stapling them together rather aggressively in a very sort of ginger reddish sort of way.
I like it.
So
like
GripRite, there you go. I think we all know the GRT SM 2016C.
Oh yeah.
Well done.
Now I'm scrambling for my answer.
Right? Colby Chandler,
stole it.
what tool best represents your leadership style on the job site?
I'm gonna go with extension cord. Does that count?
Yes.
Does that count?
I'm going to give you a point if he
Here
doesn't.
it is.
Extension
No.
cord. All right.
Yes.
So here's why. So extension cords get to work with all different kinds of tools, right? It's not just one tool, right? So I like to work with all different members of my team. Also a big believer in empowering people to give them the ability to make decisions for themselves. I think that's a big, help in growing, is not always coming to you and say, give me the answer, but empower them to make their own decision. And literally, extension cords deliver power. So,
Gosh,
Oh my gosh.
man, you
thank
crushed
you.
it.
How many points does that get?
I gave you a lot. Totally redeemed yourself in my eyes. After
you.
years of underperformance.
Thank you.
The extension cord, the humble extension cord. Let me ask you this. When I hear the word empower, sometimes I hear people use that word as, let me bestow this on somebody else. And sometimes I view this as kind of like motivation, is that, yeah, I can give you a pep talk maybe when you're down and give you a little bit of that energy and power, but if you don't have that intrinsically, I can't give that to you. How do you kind of think about that word empower and how you use it with your team?
So I think a lot of times people do have it and they just don't realize it. I think a lot of times it comes down to confidence. A lot of times people are scared to make a mistake. I think a big part of it is just telling them it's okay to make a mistake. Like, that's part of learning, that's part of growing. You're gonna make a mistake, but have confidence in the decision that you're gonna make, because you have the experience, you know what you're doing. If you didn't, you wouldn't be in the role you're in. And just letting them know that you trust them enough to allow them to make a mistake and then learn from it.
Love it. Kevin, we're gonna jump over to you next. Tool found on the job site. It's a glazing tool or something, isn't it?
It isn't. You might as well just knock that button off the table, because I'm going to go back off the rails like Tommy Boy. Jackhammer. Jackhammer. And that laugh tells you that she agrees completely.
100%.
If I'm being honest, it's super loud. It immediately starts getting the job done. It's random. It's annoying to some. It's kind of ugly. Like, all of those things. And I don't even have a way to tie a bow around this to make it like leadership trueness to myself. But it's true. I scare people. But you can ask Meloni.
I would firmly attest that he's a jackhammer.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's just so good.
I'm not even going to circle it
No,
back to
no,
something
no.
profound. I'm out.
Meloni, Raney, tool on the job site that your leadership style represents is what?
I think this is a tool. I'm going to go with a crane. That's a tool, right?
I would. That would fall into the category of equipment to me, but I'll allow it.
It's a bird.
It's a hey.
Sorry.
None of that.
Sorry.
No.
Thank you.
Again, I'm just gonna break the rule then again, and so I'm gonna answer with crane because that's what I've been thinking about. I love them, so I couldn't really get past the fact that I just love a good crane on a job site. And I also think I've been told often that I hover around the 30,000 mark of leadership. I'm not a micromanager. I hate details. They really make my brain hurt. Do them if I need to, but I don't want to. I'm not pie in the sky, like I'm not 100,000 feet up. I like to hover at the 30,000, let the team do the work. We all work together, but I'm kind of right there if needed. So, crane.
Crane,
sticking
I like
with
it. And you have shared with me in the past, kind of like, hey, hire smart people, leave them alone, right?
Let them run.
I'll let them go. All right, final question to wrap us up with this edition of the Construction Leadership Game Show here at the Prime Source Studio is going to be a Prime Source centric question. So, the most popular product Prime Source sells, as we all know, are the clavos en secuencia para techos. Collated roofing nails, which is 15-degree wire weld coil, 1.25 inch smooth shank.
It's important.
These are most commonly delivered in what quantity to their customers? Looking for one single number. Whoever gets this will get 4 bonus points. Unless it's Colby, he'll get 3. Kevin.
5,000.
5,000 is an answer. Meloni.
25,000.
25,000 is an answer.
I'm looking for clarity here.
You get nothing. I said I'm looking for a number. It's one number.
4,500.
Oh, you just prices righted me.
No, I really think
Price
the
is
number
right.
is 4,500.
The correct answer is 7,200 of the 15-degree wire weld coil, smooth shank, 1.25 inch. All right. Quite frankly, I'm exhausted with you guys. Final 4 points gone to Kevin Carey. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And with that, the winner of this episode of the Construction Leadership Game Show is Mr. Kevin Carey, CEO of Mountain Mover Facades. Kevin, congratulations.
The jackhammer.
Just too
Coming
loud.
through.
It's
Good job.
based on decibels.
Good job.
Mr. Kevin Carey, Miss Meloni Raney, Colby Chandler, this was wonderful. This was a joy.
Was it?
We're going to edit most of it out.
Thank you.
Thank you
call.
for
Thank you.
making time.
Thank you.
Woohoo!